Predator Badlands just had the best opening weekend for a Predator film in the franchise's 38-year-old run. Thanks for tuning in to this weekend's box office winners. Now before we dive in, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss what movies are killing it at the box office. Now let's dive into the numbers. To start off, Predator Badlands opened at number 1 and officially became the biggest opening weekend for a Predator film. The film opened to $40 million domestically, allied to its $40 million international total. The film had an $80 million global opening. This is not only great news for Hollywood after a lackluster month with October, but it's also great news for Disney, which has not had a big hit since their smaller hit Freakier Friday and their big hit in Lilo and Stitch. And this clearly shows that Disney may be having trouble with its own IP, but with inherited franchises from their purchase of Fox, like Alien, Planet of the Apes, and now Predator, they seem to be doing something right, as all 3 of these franchises have had great opening weekends and great reception from both critics and audiences. That's right, Predator Badlands received an A- cinema score, making it the highest cinema score that a Predator film has received. Now the film is also beloved by critics as it received an 85% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, and once more showing the strength of the franchise, it receives a 95% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. So it seems that making this film PG-13 yet keeping its violence and action helped a lot. And this was done because there was no human red blood in the film, as it was white blood from synthetics and green blood from predators. Premium formats were also a huge boost for the film, as 59% of the gross for the film came from premium formats, and more specifically, 15% of the earnings came from IMAX alone. As far as its diversity demos, 44% of the audience was Caucasian, 26% of the audience was Latino/Hispanic, 15% Black, and 8% Asian American. So now let's look at the rest of the top 10. In second place was Regretting You, making another $7.1 million in weekend number 3 and dropping a very healthy 9% from last weekend, showing that word of mouth is doing a lot of heavy lifting for the film. The film has made $38 million domestically and $70 million worldwide, and with its strong legs, the film will definitely surpass $100 million worldwide. And number 3 was The Black Phone 2, making another $5.3 million in weekend number 4 and dropping a healthy 36%. And Mason Thames, who is in both Regretting You and The Black Phone 2, is sure to be having a ball. Now, this film has made $70 million domestically and $120 million worldwide. At this rate, I do feel that the film won't be able to surpass the first film's $161 million cue, but I hope it gets close. At number 4 was Sarah's Oil, a faith-based film that opened to $4.4 million, and it was led by female moviegoers at 66%, and the film received a stellar A+ cinema score. At number 5 was another newcomer with Nuremberg, which made $4 million in its debut. This World War II drama was led by older and white moviegoers, as 51% of the audience was over the age of 55, and 75% of the audience was Caucasian. At number 6 was anime film Chainsaw Man, which made another $3.6 million, dropping 42% from last weekend. The film has now made $38 million domestically and $137 million worldwide, showing that anime films are truly rising worldwide. At number 7 was Begonia, making $3.5 million. This awards film has now made $12 million domestically and $23 million worldwide. At number 8 was Die My Love, a film by Mubi starring Robert Pattinson and Jennifer Lawrence, which opened to $2.8 million. However, those who saw the film heavily disliked it, as it received a D+ cinema score, and a low 29% definite recommend on PostTrack. The film had an almost equal gender split at 51% male, and the 25 to 34 crowd definitely showed up at 44%. Ultimately though, the 2 main stars weren't able to give the film much of a boost, but at least they made it to the top 10, which cannot be said about another starring film. At number 9 was Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere, which made $2.2 million, dropping 42% from last weekend. The film has now made $20 million stateside and $34 million worldwide. And rounding out the top 10 was Tron Ares, making another $1.8 million and dropping 41% from last weekend. The film has made $71 million stateside and $137 million worldwide. And lastly, sitting outside the top 10 at number 11 was Christie, a new film starring Sydney Sweeney, which made $1.3 million in its debut, scoring one of the 15 worst openings of all time for a film debuting in over 2,000 theaters. And that wraps up this weekend's box office winners. As we saw the biggest opening for a Predator film, let me know in the comments what movie, if any, did you see in theaters this weekend. And don't forget to like and subscribe and tune in next weekend where The Running Man and Now You See Me Now You Don't debut in theaters. And as always, keep watching.